Hi, I'm Forrest Lee Jr. and welcome to Useful Guitar Stuff. First thing we're going to do is we're going to tune up, and there's a few pitfalls in tuning a Telecaster, so I'm going to try to go over those with you. It seems that every time you hit a string, it sounds a little sharp sometimes. It depends on if you're using a compressor or not too, but as long as you tune up, hitting the harmonic on the 12th fret, then, and you use a tuner, say, like this, then you're pretty much going to be in good shape. So let's just go ahead and do it open for right now. It would be an E, A, D, G, it's a B, and finally your little E. The way that these are numbered is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in case you're wondering if it's the first string or the second string or the third string, you'll know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's kind of weird that they did it that way, from the bottom to the top. This first thing that we're going to do is a very useful honky-tonk piano type lick, and it's let me play a little bit for you real quick. It's a real simple rhythm thing, but a lot of people don't get it, and I use it in the studio, I use it on the road, artist gigs, doesn't matter. It's usually buried way in the background and nobody notices it, but it really enhances the rhythm section. Now basically what it is it's a paradiddle. It's a like paradiddle, paradiddle. And you're alternating between using the pick on the A string, and then you're using your middle fingers for the D and the G strings. So it's and then I'm just doing the old you put it all together and you got I'm going to do it real slow here. The same thing going up to your D, and you're just playing a D chord for your root. And then move it down to the E, and back to the A. So to play it fast, it would be something like. So that gives you kind of an idea of what I do there. Now on the D, when you go to a D chord, say you're in the key of A, and you're doing a riff like that. You can kind of change it from a that's another really interesting thing that you can pull off, and nobody's going to know that you're actually breaking the rhythm pattern that you were doing previous, because you're doing this piano type thing, like a boom cha 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 cha, okay, and you're turning it into a and you're playing that over a D. So you're getting another effect out of it. So when you're doing that with the D, and then if you're going to the E after that, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. I should probably slow down a little bit. Let me go ahead and slow down the D thing. All I'm doing is I'm playing a D chord, but I'm just taking my finger off so that it's, all I'm actually pressing down is the third string, or the G string on the second fret, and then pressing, then playing the second fret on the A string to the third fret, back down to the second fret, and then open again. So it's, and the right hand is just doing all of them at the same time. So you're getting that that kind of rhythmic thing happening there, and then if you were, say, in the key of G, you can kind of do the same thing that you're doing with the D, but all you're doing is you're holding down the E string at the third fret, which is your G note. Okay? And then instead of playing the A string, you're using these two fingers to play your D and G strings, and you press down the D string and do a hammer-on to the third fret. So, or you don't have to hammer it on, you can just do it. Now you notice I'm going, or something similar to that paradiddle thing. But I'm pulling off, so you get that, and that adds a kind of a cool effect. I'm going to show you a couple other riffs that I do. They're not really riffs. Well, I guess they are riffs, but they're rhythmic riffs that I'm always throwing into rhythm patterns. Doesn't matter what song it is. It could be a Haggard song or a, Garth Brooks song. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be doing the same type of things in it because it's useful, and I throw that in everything. So, again, the first thing was the, and then I transferred that to the D, but I showed you another way to play that, which was, and then you can do it on the E as well, which is actually hammering on where I hammer on there. That's another thing I should probably go over is that's something that is very useful in rhythm, and most people don't think of it that way. They think of it as a lead part. You can do double stops with it, or you can just play it in a rhythm pattern, just always using those rhythm things. So there's some interesting rhythm things for good old honky-tonk country, even rock and roll. I use it a lot in rock and roll too. But that's my mainstay, country honky-tonk feel type thing. And you can use that in the studio. You can use it. I use it live all the time. I mean, that's mainstay for me. But I use it in the studio a lot too. Here's another cool thing that I like to do. It's below the nut bends. And I use these all the time. I use them in the studio, I use them live. It's a nice pad behind a slow song. So everything that I was doing before was kind of honky-tonk. This would be a nice slow song type of padding. So say you're in the key of G, it would be... And you can use that for intros, outros. I use it a lot in outros. And it hurts a little bit to do it. I use 9 to 42 strings, so. Let me tell you a little bit about my gear here. I have a Squier Telecaster that I've completely altered, and it's not a Squier Telecaster anymore, it's a Frankentelly now. I put a roller nut, or not a roller nut, but a roller string retainer on here, because I built my own B-bender, which is kind of like a Parsons White B-bender, except I made it. I would suggest buying one instead of trying to make one. It's not an easy task. But when I press down on the neck, it bends the B string up a whole tone, so that you can get all those pedal steel, you know. Really cool stuff that you can do with it. But that way it rolls down there and it doesn't get caught. I have a Seymour Duncan Alnico 2 pickup in the bridge position. I'm not sure what this is. It's some mystery Japanese Strat copy pickup. And I have a Joe Barden humbucker in the neck position. And I wouldn't trade these pickups for anything. I love the sound of this guitar. The rest of it is just parts that I picked up. It's a Fender Repro 6-saddle bridge. Originally, this guitar, it was a 1987 Squier Telecaster, and I love those 80s Japanese Fender necks. I love them. They're a little bit smaller. They're not quite as wide as a regular Telecaster neck. The effects that I'm using, basically all I'm using right now is I'm using my old classic 50 here, and I have a little bit of reverb on it. Everything else is pretty much just straight even. You know, treble, mid, bass, everything is pretty close to even. Presence, right in the middle. I do use a compressor, and right now, when I'm doing things in the studio, I usually roll off the compression a bit and crank up the attack. But when I'm playing live, and this is something that a lot of guys, you know, they always wonder how I'm getting the sound that I'm getting. I roll the attack all the way off and the compression all the way up, which is what I'm doing for this tape. So it sounds kind of weird, but it works because you get a even sound on every string. Plus you get the pop of the compression. So if I'm doing something fast, like a... I'm getting an even sound on every string, and I don't really have to worry about it. And it kind of saves me some headaches with sound guys, because sound guys have a tendency, since I use a volume pedal, which I'm not using right now, I have it on here, but it has a tendency to mess with sound guys for some reason. I don't know. You know, if you set the sound at a certain level, and I usually set it pretty hot when we're doing sound check, and then, you know, I lay off on it, I roll the thing back a little bit, but the compression's still going, so if I'm playing rhythm, then it's probably a... And then when I go into playing a lead part, I just stomp on the pedal a little bit. So I use those, and I also use a blues driver pedal so that I can get that, you know, bluesy, overdriven tone. I don't like a lot of distortion, but I do like to have, you know, enough to get that, you know, kind of gritty sound, you know. It works great when I'm using the neck pickup. Anything like that, it works great for it. I try to set it so that I don't have too much drive going because I don't want that, you know, that really loud, grungy sound. I just want a little bit of. If I turn the compressor off, you'll get more of a feel for it. It doesn't sound like I'm driving it at all. But the more I dig into the strings, I'm getting that distortion happening. Now the compressor automatically kind of compensates for that dig into the strings, but it still works. It's subtle, but like if you listen to this, like I'm hitting them pretty hard, but if I want to lay out and have a nice rhythm section, too bad. And then when I dig into it, so if you have a distortion pedal or a blues driver pedal or a tube scream or something like that, the way I set it is so that when I'm playing a rhythm part and I want to play kind of low, it's still clean, but then when I dig into the strings, it gets more distorted as I go, and that leaves me a little bit more room to work with it, a little more subtle. When I have the compressor on, it's always at a certain level, but when you really dig into the strings, it still does the same thing. So when you set it without the compressor on, and then when you turn your compressor on, you'll have more room to work with it. Okay, and the other thing I have here is I have a digital delay that I have set for a slapback, and I'll show you another setting later, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it on and just kind of show you what it is. That's it. It's just... And the level is set about even. It's about half the volume of the main signal, so your actual delay signal is about half the volume of your main signal, and no repeat to it, so it's just one delay. It's just bop 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 bop, and that way you can get that 50s slapback sound. So without that lick is just basically, it's an E, and I'm just hammering on the G string from an open G, and then playing it at the second fret. So. Let me play it fast again. So actually I'm doing... And when you hit the delay, it gives you that And then you can move it on up to the A. Now I'm going to show you another cool delay trick that basically it's a time and a half delay. So if you're playing, say, a bass line, just a boom, 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 kind of a walking bass line, it'll take it and add a step and a half behind it, and it'll give it this wacky feel to it. And it just kind of doubles it up and makes it sound really like there's 3 guitar players playing. So say I'm going to play, if I hit the delay and I got it set at about that long of delay, it doesn't stop unless you hit it, obviously. But let's try that up here, because it sounds a little bit better when you're higher up on the neck. So. So basically all I'm doing is I'm playing like a something like that, and that's about the speed tune. And you play it with the delay and you get this oops. Okay, and it also works great with double stops, like let's move on from the delay. The delay is really cool. The ideal setting is to have 5 delays because you can set them all at different lengths, and depending on what kind of songs you're playing. If you're playing a fast chicken picking song, it's really cool to do like to start off with the slap back, and then say you're in the key of A and you're doing them. This would be the rhythm. Now I'll lead. See what I'm saying? You just get this extra effect that kind of adds a whole lot more. Well, it's useful. That's the whole point. Okay, let's move on.